Live in Vatican City tonight with the latest. David?
Sarah, Carrie and Sylvia, we told you just a little while ago, the lines, of course, still lengthy coming into St. Peter's. And we'll take a look behind me right now and show you just what's happened here. It's really gotten cold, as we mentioned. We've talked about these early morning hours being very cold indeed. Now you're looking at fog that is blowing through the area as we are here at 7 o'clock in the morning. And the lines, of course, continuing to file inside. But you mentioned we talked to Cardinal Roger Mahony, as I did yesterday, and he addressed a variety of issues, including the fact that he is hoping that Southern Californians, members of the Catholic Church, of course, will try their best to help him as he moves into the days ahead and has to face the tough task of replacing John Paul II.
Cardinal Mahony spoke to us at the Pontifical North American College, just outside St. Peter's Square. We talked about Pope John Paul's life, and we talked about the interregnum, the time right now when the Cardinal hopes that Southern California's Catholics will help him to decide where the Church should go next.
Well, I think this is really a time of a teachable moment, a time of grace, and we're hoping that people will spend a lot of time in prayer. You know, the cathedral and a lot of our parishes have many special prayer events every day during the 9 days. And this is an opportunity for the church to pray, all of us, for the good of the church and the future, and to pray that the Holy Spirit will help us make a good selection. So that's one of the best things they can do is pray. But secondly, it is a teachable moment. So it's a time for families, and especially with children, to understand, well, what are we doing now? What has happened? This is the successor of Peter, and there have been 264 before him, the present Pope. And therefore, it's a time to educate us about our tradition and about our faith, and to help young people especially.
Cardinal Mahony wanted to make this point, that Pope John Paul II was both a large and small individual, a world religious leader, and a warm, personable man. The presence of that Pope when you were near him, with him, remarkable, amazing, how would you describe it?
He's just a very engaging person that, like you've known him for years the first time you meet him. He is so warm and welcome and open and wants to know you and makes you feel so much at ease. And he just puts you at ease, and you really feel you can discuss anything with him. There's no sense of being, well, I'm afraid, I better not mention this, better not mention that. Not at all. He's the kind of person where you're talking to your grandfather or an uncle, just to sit down and enjoy a meal with him and chat with him.
The days ahead will all be new experiences for Cardinal Mahony. Choosing a new pope will actually end the upcoming period, and he is excited by all of it.
Right now we have the funeral and 9 days of prayer, so that's where really my focus is on the moment. There's the document on the conclave. We haven't got to that part yet, going through that in our meetings with the cardinals. But we will, probably early next week. So I'll have a better insight next week. But right now, we're all focusing on the big funeral on Friday and all of the things that will happen after that.
Well, you heard Cardinal Mahony talk about the funeral itself coming up on Friday, and then, of course, the 9 days of prayer that is in that period of time before they begin the conclave. And he is hoping that he will hear from the Holy Spirit, as he put it, during that time, and that'll help him make the decision that he has to make in terms of selecting a new pope. Carrie, Sylvia, back to you.
David, some election watchers have speculated that given the enormous influence of the United States around the world, it is highly unlikely that a new pontiff will be selected from among U.S. cardinals. Did Cardinal Mahony even talk about that at all today, or just pretty much stay away from it?
We had a little bit of a discussion about that, Carrie, and he will address that subject, by the way, if you bring it up. And in fact, he goes one step further than that. When we were talking a little bit about it, he said it's impossible. It is impossible to have an American pope. It is simply something that the system will not sustain, according to him. He said the Pope needs to represent a different part of humanity rather than be part of what would be viewed as kind of an American political system. He said it's very difficult for the Pope, if he's American, to be disengaged from American policy, and the Pope needs to have a completely independent policy, of course, from that. And he said it's just not something that the Church would ever look toward.
David, we even heard that there was talk of a gag order being imposed on the Cardinals because there's concern that most of the companies, most of the big media outlets are owned by American companies, European companies, and then perhaps that would present some undue influence. But yet we have seen several of the Cardinals making appearances. Isn't that correct?
Well, yes, they have. They've all of them come out and spoken, although they've kind of organized themselves to decide when they're going to come out and what they're going to say, Sylvia. They don't do it at what you might consider to be a random moment. I mean, everything is pretty well organized, and they decide, all right, we'll make a few statements right here and right now, and they try to direct the subject matter to a few of the things that they have most pressing and at hand, although they've been forthcoming. I mean, I'm not saying that they haven't, but they're very aware of the media. They're very savvy to the way the companies operate, the way they're owned, and to any particular political influence that might come from any particular nation or company. And it's an interesting change because you can imagine 26 years ago when this last pope was taken into the papacy, there would have been really none of that kind of understanding of the outside media. But Vatican City moves forward along with all of us.
There are estimates as many as 2 million people may try to attend the viewing of the Pope. The funeral is Friday. At some point, they're going to have to cut that off. Has the Vatican yet said how they're going to do that?
No, and we talked about it today, Carrie, as to how they might even consider stopping the line that is going in here to view the Pope's body as he lies in state inside St. Peter's. At what point are they going to be able to stop that line and tell people that either you didn't make it or what happens? It's a 3-day period of time, and we really don't know how that'll work. Plus, if you have 2 million people here, the square, as you've seen it behind me, really holds at a maximum about 150,000. Well, that leaves a lot of people in a position where they don't get to view or see or know a whole lot about that funeral, and we do not know exactly how that'll transpire on Friday. But it's going to be an interesting logistical effort, and hopefully there will be some divine intervention that maybe will clear things up in that regard as well.
I think a lot of divine intervention will be needed there. Okay, David, from Vatican City, thank you so much for that, David Jackson.
All right.
There was a farewell mass for the Polish-born Pope.
Breaking news now, a stubborn industrial fire in South LA. It looks like firefighters may now have the upper hand.
Gary Lineberry flying above it right now in News Chopper 2 with a little more information. Gary.
Well, this is what it looks like right now, but we're going to go to some tape here of what it looked like about 45 minutes ago.
David?
Well, Sylvia, a teenager remains missing tonight after a small boat he was in capsized off the Ventura coast. 3 others were rescued from this. The monster waves that have been pounding the coast may be to blame for it. CBS 2's Robert Lyles live right now with the latest. Robert.
Well, everything worked against the Ventura.
Mariah, thank you very much. Air travelers are getting a holiday surprise out at LAX thanks to a beefed up staff and some new screening rules. The great getaway has not been a headache at all so far. And CBS 2's Ross Palumbo live at LAX, where 3 million passengers will come and go just over the next few days. Ross.
David, last year we had lines, but take a look at it right now.
Well, back to breaking news right now of a 4-year-old shot in Walnut Park. Here's CBS 2's Jennifer Sabi. She's live right now with the latest on the shooting. Jennifer.
Yeah, a little bit of an update, David. We understand.
All right, Jennifer, thank you. Well, a Valverde woman is recovering from injuries tonight after she was attacked and gored by her own pet deer. It happened on Barbara Garcia's ranch just before noon on Thursday. The 60-year-old told us over the telephone from her hospital bed that she had raised the deer that she called Bucky for a period of 3 years and kept it in a large pen near her house. But when she went to feed the animal, the deer charged her and gored her through her upper leg. It was a 911 call that 911 doesn't get very often. That deer was destroyed by Fish and Game. Garcia could face criminal charges for keeping a wild animal as a pet, which is against the law. Sylvia.
4 men are behind bars tonight. David?
Well, another bombshell in domestic surveillance tonight. The FBI admitting that it's been conducting classified radiation monitoring of private property in the United States without any warrants to prevent an al-Qaeda terrorist attack. It has been happening at more than 100 Muslim sites around the country, including mosques, homes, and businesses in Washington, D.C., and at least 5 other unidentified cities. The FBI claims it has all been done from publicly accessible areas, which makes warrants and court orders unnecessary, they say. Well, it stopped their argument, but the woman's drastic move with a cell phone nearly cost her her life.
Christmas shopping season is just about over, yet some people are...
David?
Man. Well, Sylvia, big holiday delivery in outer space today. An unmanned Russian cargo ship successfully docked with the International Space Station today. The capsule delivered 3 tons of food and other supplies to the crew there. The payload also includes books, DVDs, which I'm sure they're looking forward to, and holiday gifts. Cosmonaut Valery Tokarev and astronaut William MacArthur are halfway through a 6-month mission, hence the DVDs, out in space.
Totally explainable.
Right.
Well, just one more shopping day left. 100 people 2 years ago in West Warwick.
Well, you'd think that happened a lot. I mean, trying to make sure the tree's safe.
Right.
You know, doing that.
Right. That had actually expired, though, so it died unnecessarily.
It is. It's too bad.
Okay, let's talk about some weather here, okay?
Yes, we've got all
Greg
kinds.
was talking about all those procrastinators, and we need some good weather because I'm sitting next to 2 of them right now.
Yeah, I don't want to start until tomorrow. That's when everybody else has drained their energy.
That's right.
Save
We're
yours.
out there
We heard Christmas was coming.
with a ripe credit card and energy.
Tomorrow's
Something
the day.
that nobody else has now.
That's
All
right.
And the weather's going to be changing, so we're going to be telling you all about that. And by the way, it's going to be a warm day tomorrow. Hey, the surf's still forcing weekend and a great holiday to everyone.
Love
right.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
Johnny, thanks so
Get
much.
ready to shop.
Okay.
Thanks, Johnny. Well, it is the bold move that stopped an argument between a boyfriend and a girlfriend, but it nearly cost the woman her life.
And a very rare find during a stroll on the beach that could fetch one family big bucks.
Well, how about this for an argument stopper? A lover's disputed ending in Blue Springs, Missouri, when a woman swallowed her cell phone. Her boyfriend called police after the woman had trouble breathing. You can imagine that would follow, with the phone lodged in her throat. She was taken to a hospital, no word on her condition, or if the phone was on ring or vibrate when she swallowed it.
That would make
Sylvia.
a difference, I guess.
Yeah.
Talk about a pleasant surprise. A man in Rhode Island, $1,000.
Yeah, man. Well, it is hard to believe, but one woman says that her dumpster was a better gift from her husband than jewelry.
Also, why a mother was horrified after her son called what was supposed to be a toy help hotline.
Well, it is not the Christmas present most wives would want, but a New Jersey woman is ecstatic over her new garbage dumpster.
It's the best gift.
How is this possible? Well, Barbara Botterbrot's husband wrapped a dumpster in gold paper and he put a bow on it. She actually did ask for this because the family's garage and basement had become crammed full of junk, really crammed full. The whole family pitched in to clean it out. Barbara says the dumpster was a better gift than getting anything, including jewelry, anything. Well, USC basketball goes for the 9th straight victory.
Jim Hill is here with a preview of sports.
David, Sylvia, a lot of great basketball tonight. The Bruins host Sacramento State at Pauley Pavilion, while in the NBA, the Lakers.
We're on the verge of a holiday and a lot of big sports.
Absolutely, and the Lakers aren't pushing it too much, which is a good thing.
You better believe it. Maybe they should play even more games on the road than just the 41 than they normally play. The Lakers hit the floor tonight for the first time since Kobe put up 12 days and counting. USC, Texas for the national championship at the Rose Bowl.
That is huge. That is huge.
Thanks, Jim.
You got it.
Thanks so much, Jim. And that is it for us. We know you have many choices for news. We thank you for choosing CBS 2.
Dave is coming up next. Have a good night and a great holiday weekend. Bye-bye.